So I'm starting at the 3-minute mark, whether someone is here in the chat or not. I do realize that it is, the middle of the night. I realize it's Friday night. It is Valentine's Day. And so I know that a lot of people will not catch this until later, and that's perfectly fine. As we all know, I do not work within, this timeline all the time. And so, it's always right now. Okay. So welcome to the people who are going to catch this stream later. Okay. So basically, I want to basically start off, and I want to talk about something weird that happened. Like, I don't remember what the date was. It was about 2 or 3 days ago, though, when I fell asleep. I specifically put the remote control to my television right in front of me on the table, and then I went to sleep. And when I woke up, I also had a little ritual going, okay, and it was a green candle money ritual that I had going. And when I woke up, my candle had been blown out, and I couldn't find the remote control like anywhere. And I specifically remembered, where I put it. I put it like right in front of me before I fell asleep. And so I was like, and it was really weird that my candle had also blown out, because my candle had been burning for maybe 2 days, 2.5 days, maybe 3 at the most. So it was like halfway down. So I still had like a few days left on the candle, and that has never happened. Like
what could have possibly come and blown out my candle when it was like halfway down in the jar already burned? Okay. And then also, what the hell happened to my remote control? I mean, to the point where we went and got another one. You know what I'm saying? We went and just got another remote, like, because I'm trying to figure out. I already knew that it was something, because I turned the whole living room upside down. I looked through the whole house. I looked through the trash. I looked everywhere, and it was not here. So I automatically knew that, like, this was supernatural. Like, this was not, something normal. Welcome to the one person in the chat. I did start at the 3 minute mark, and was just basically, like, whoever catches this later, it's still the right time. These witching hour releases are timeless. Basically, I was just telling a story about losing my remote control. And also, I fell asleep and my remote control basically came up missing. And then also, one of my candles had gotten blown out. That was like halfway down, burned down in the jar. So I'm like, it was just weird. And so, like I said, I went through the entire house, all through through the couch that I sit on, where I was at, when the last time I had the remote, I took off every pillow off the couch. I went down in the sides and the crevices under the couch, just everywhere. And so I knew that it was supernatural. And then I was like, I just knew that the remote was going to return, okay? Because I instinctively knew, once I realized that my candle had been blown out, I knew that, like, I was being told that, like, I didn't need that candle. That what I was trying to manifest with that particular ritual was already on its way. It was on its way before I even lit that candle. I tend to just do stuff. You know what I'm saying? I like the ritual of things. I enjoy, the practicing the craft. You know what I'm saying? Because at the end of the day, we really don't need the tools. You know what I'm saying? And we know this. You know what I'm saying? Even when we channel messages through tarot cards and things like that, we know that we don't need the cards. The cards are just like confirmation, and especially for the people that we're reading for, because they need something to see. So, that's basically what the cards are. You know what I'm saying? And that's not just cards, but whatever tools we're using. The tools are really not needed. Okay. But I do enjoy using the tools. I enjoy the ritual of it. I enjoy the ceremony of it. You know what I'm saying? But I do understand that it's not needed. And so, for this particular ritual that I was doing, I understand why my spirits blew out the candle, because it was not needed. Like, I already know that what I was manifesting was already on its way. And then the remote, I know that it was telling me that I need to, like, stop paying so much attention to YouTube and my channels and stuff, and I need to take even more time in my meditation. And so it was just, it was weird. So I was like, I know that my remote is going to reappear. And I mean, the weirdest thing, like, now I have been looking for it for at least 3 days. And then all of a sudden, I don't remember what I was doing that made me look under the pillow that I'm sitting on. Okay, that I looked on, and that had to be the first place that I was going to look when I found that it was missing. So I have looked under this pillow several times. You know what I'm saying? But today, for some reason, when I looked under here, it was it was right up under where I was sitting, like right at the front edge of the couch. So I'm like, there is no way possible that had been there the whole time. I have looked under this pillow like a million times looking for that thing. Like, I tore up the whole house. So for it to be positioned right there, like, I'm like, who in the hell is playing with me? You know what I'm saying? So, that was just weird. It's evidence of, like, me being in between timelines or realities or something. You know what I'm saying? Timelines, like the subtle little differences in the timelines. So that was just a weird little story that I wanted to share, and document that. But I want to talk about integrating shadows, okay? And basically, you know, because we talk about shadow work, you know, and I want people to be clear on what the shadow work is, what it's going to look like, you know, and what your shadows are, you know. And basically the shadows are the aspects of ourselves that, you know, that feel separate from us, that feel unloved, that feel unwanted, or that have been diminished, okay, in some way. So they're the parts of us that like we disown, okay? And the shadows, basically they reside, the shadows live in like the subconscious limbic regions of our minds, okay? And the shadows have been involuntarily silenced and forgotten. And it reminds me of the little girl on the movie, in the movie Us. You know, that's basically what happened to her shadow when it got trapped in those, you know, in the lower realms. You know, and that's what I mean when I'm talking about the limbic regions of your brain, of your mind. You know what I'm saying? Where those shadows, again, the parts that feel separate, that feel unwanted, that feel like they're not a part of you, this is where they live, but it is in fact a part of you. You know what I'm saying? And when you think about it, you know, your shadows. Welcome, Trish. I'm glad you smashed. Like I said, I didn't really expect anybody to really be in here, but I really appreciate you stopping by. I just record these releases whether somebody's in here or not, because, you know, they will catch them. And I do realize that it's Valentine's Day, it's Friday night. So, you know, but like I said, you know, I'm always appreciative, you know, of you and whoever does decide to stop by. So, you know, I was talking about the shadows and how they live in the limbic regions of our brain and our mind, and we really don't really own them and acknowledge the shadows as being a part of ourselves. So the shadows are like involuntarily silenced. You know, and it reminds me of the little girl in that movie Us, and you know, and thinking about how the shadows didn't sign up to be like the safe house, you know, for all of your like undesirable aspects of ourselves. You know what I'm saying? All the unexpressed unhappiness, you know what I'm saying? That the shadow didn't sign up to be the receptacle and be the hiding place, you know, for you know, the undesirable parts of ourselves, okay? So in those limbic regions, that's basically where the secrets that, you know, that are kept, the fears, the sadness, the rage, the rest of your strength is, you know, in the limbic regions. So, you know, basically the shadows is basically, it's time to acknowledge those shadows as being parts of ourselves so that we can basically integrate that and become whole. Okay, so it has to be a reunion between those shadows and the parts of yourself that you do accept. Okay, that begins to take place when you begin to, you know, you learn to accept and love every part of yourself. You know what I'm saying? In you know, every part of yourself in the same way that you have accepted and loved every part of the narcissist or these other imperfect people in our lives that we have loved unconditionally. Okay, we have to learn how to accept our own shadows the way we unconditionally accept other people's flaws. Okay, and so but basically to hold yourself with as much affection and with as much compassion as you hold other people. You know what I'm saying? You have to learn how to love yourself with that same love that we give to other people unconditionally, because this is why you get to a certain point in the path and it's all about self-love and loving the self. And you know, we wonder why we can't be with the twin and why there's, you know what I'm saying, the separation and all of that. And this is because the divine wants you to focus on you and you understand, you know, the oneness that really there is only one being. But you're only, you know, you're only going to experience that oneness when you focus on yourself and realize that you are the one being. You know what I'm saying? That it is the self. So it's very important to be able to, you know, do all of the loving and affectionate things that you do for other people, to actually do them to yourself. I mean, literally to hold yourself, you know, to rock yourself back and forth, to comfort yourself, you know what I'm saying, for all the bumps and bruises that you've experienced on this journey. You know what I'm saying? Gently caress your own face, you know what I'm saying, with the same tenderness and affection that you show your children or your lovers. You know what I'm saying? We have to learn how to give ourselves that same type of love. You know, we have to learn how to be able to say to ourselves and ask, you know, tell ourselves that we're beautiful. You know what I'm saying? Can we say to ourselves, I am beautiful? You know what I'm saying? Can we say to ourselves, you know, you're beautiful, and actually receive that from ourselves? You know, can we say it and mean it to ourselves? You know, can I say to myself, I am perfect just the way that I am. I love who I am. You know what I'm saying? Are we going to be able to say that? You know, can we say from the core of our hearts and mean it? You know, all of the things that we say to other people, can we say that to ourselves? You know what I'm saying? Because, you know, we have to be able to do these things for ourselves, or whatever we think we're giving to someone else is not even real. You know, I always got more out of that the saying, you know, that beauty is in the eye of the beholder. I always felt that meant more than just, you know, I felt like it was more than just about having preferences. You know what I'm saying? I always felt that it was more about spirit looking back at itself, you know what I'm saying, and seeing its own beauty within the self, and then thereby, you know, seeing everyone else as more beautiful. So, you know, I always felt like, you know, it meant more like what the looker feels, you know, when the looker or the observer feels beautiful, then the reflection that's being observed is beautiful. You know what I'm saying? I always got that out of beauty is in the eye of the beholder, more so than, you know, that we all have our own idea of beauty. I mean, that's one way to look at it, but I'd always got something a little bit deeper out of that. You know, I felt that if you were, you know, if you really were able to, you know, see the beauty in yourself, and then see what you're looking at as a reflection of your own beauty, then it's, you know, it's a deeper, you know, experience, a more profound experience. You know, it's about us going forward on this path and in the higher realms. I told you that the divine insists that you make yourself happy, that you be joyful. You know what I'm saying? And it's about being in allegiance with yourself. You know, it's about, you know, it might look like arrogance to other people. It might look like conceit to those who haven't yet learned to love themselves. But it's not about that, but it's about holding yourself in high regard. Okay. And if you truly love yourself, your allegiance will be to yourself. Okay. And your ultimate goal is always going to be to make yourself happy, you know, and there's absolutely nothing wrong with that, you know. You know, your joy is the aspect of self-love that is the source of your abundance, and you know, and fulfilling intimate relationships, and your success. Okay, so that's basically when you start to love yourself, it's going to be important, you know, to you, that you are the one, you're making yourself happy, and your happiness is going to be a priority above anything else, you know. And this is what the divine is insisting, that you really wire, you know, this is that you wrap your mind around. It's not about trying to please nobody else and making everybody else happy. It's not about healing anyone else. It's all about doing these things for yourself first, okay? And then seeing anything outside of yourself as a reflection of that, okay? So you have to have that aspect of self-love within you, that you're always trying to seek, you know, your own joy and your own happiness, because again, that's the source of your own abundance. You know, it's the source of, you know, your success. It's what it's going to make you irresistible to anyone. You know, it was what is going to allow you to attract anything that you desire. You know what I'm saying? Because you're aligning yourself with your own joy, you know, and no matter what, that's going to come first. Okay. And so it just kind of puts you in a different paradigm. Okay. And so, of course, people who haven't gotten there yet and they don't understand self-love, they're going to see your self-love, even though you're not stepping on anyone's toes or hurting anyone else, or you don't even see yourself as being better than anyone else. It's about being better than you were before. You know what I'm saying? And so these people are going to, you know, you're going to get people that don't like you, which is why as we go down this path, people begin to fall by the wayside. They don't even know why they're mad. They don't know why they're jealous. Some of them do, but some of them don't. Okay. So just know that the people are going to try you. They're going to try to trigger you out of your joy. They're going to try to test you. You know what I'm saying? This is why narcs exist. This is why they stay trying to keep you upset and vibrating low, because they understand the value of your joy more than you do. Okay? Your happiness and joy is so valuable that it should never be sacrificed, okay, for anything, for anyone. And the narc knows this. It's your joy. That's why they try to aim to keep you upset, because they cannot vibrate at the level of joy. They don't have fruits of the spirit, you know what I'm saying, that come from the higher realms. So they have to make you vibrate at a rate, at something where they can to match their frequency. Okay, and their frequency is a lower vibration. They can't accept love from you, or joy, or peace, or any of the higher vibrating qualities. They have to literally cause you to match their frequency so they can feed off of you. They have to get more of what they are comprised of, which is, lower vibrating emotions, like fear and doubt, jealousy, anger. You know what I'm saying? This is what they have to cause you to feel in order to be able to feed off you. They cannot feed off of the higher vibrating energies, because they are comprised of lower vibrating energies. So that's what they have to try to get from you. Okay, if that makes sense. Okay, so but basically they know the value of your joy for yourself. Okay, they cannot partake and they can't feed off of you when you're joyful. Okay, literally filled with joy. Okay, and this is joy is your natural state of being when you're outside of the illusion. It's just who you are in your spirit. Okay, it's naturally who you are when there's no baggage and when there's no illusion. Okay, to cause you to forget that joy is who you are at the core. Okay, so we have to remember that at all times, because when we have immersed ourselves in this illusion, it's hard. It's easy to forget. Okay, so every day from here on out, being mindful that it's okay to have your own happiness as a priority above everyone else's happiness. You know what I'm saying? We should be excited now about the new opportunities each morning when we get up, to feel that joy, to look for joy, to do things that make us happy. You know what I'm saying? Because it's that the ego will tell you don't deserve joy, and that's all devil energy. Okay, that devil energy belongs in the subconscious, or the limbic regions of the mind, where I was talking about, not the shadows. Okay, the parts of you that you don't want to see, but the devil energy that's telling you, you know what I'm saying, you can't be happy, or that it's wrong for you to be happy, that you should be trying to make everybody else happy. It's time to put that in the subconscious. Okay, put that in the limbic regions. It's time to subdue that ego. Okay, because when the ego comes to the spotlight, it becomes fearful, because it's comprised of darkness. It cannot stand in the light. So all it's going to do, anytime you let this come to the forefront and you allow it to become the voice of the entire being and who you are, it's always going to be fearful. It's always going to tell you things that are going to drive you out of the light. Okay, so you have to put the ego where it belongs, which is in the limbic regions. You know what I'm saying? So when you're experiencing fear, that's your cue to put your ego away, because the you know what I'm saying, the spirit, the soul does not know any fear. It's fearless. Okay, and so the natural joy that's at your core will be able to rise to the surface when you subdue the ego and you send it to the limbic regions instead of your shadows. Okay, your shadows, like I said, they didn't sign up to be the hiding place for all of the parts of you that you don't want. Okay, they are a part of you. You know what I'm saying? They are, they're parts of you that are sexual. They're parts of you that are fierce. They're parts of you that are warriors. That have warrior qualities. All these parts of you are very necessary for you to be a whole person. You know what I'm saying? And so you cannot deny these parts of yourself. And only hope keeps the parts that you want. So we have to reintroduce the shadow parts of ourselves, back to the parts of ourselves that we, have allowed to stand in the forefront. Okay. And like I said, when we subdue that shadow and let it go down to the lower realms, where it belongs, the joyfulness of who we are, it just naturally rises to the surface. Okay. And when you are, when you have become that joy, then you don't feel a need to project your needs or your emptiness or your void onto other people, expecting them to fulfill your needs like the narcissist does. You know what I'm saying? When because basically that need is the need to love yourself. Okay. And when you basically have filled yourself up with your own joy, that is your love, that is you loving yourself. And again, you don't need to project that emptiness that you feel when you haven't fulfilled yourself. Love you too, Trish. Thanks for stopping by, babe. But when you haven't fulfilled yourself from the inside out, then you're going to be like the narcissist, projecting that need onto other people and expecting them to fulfill you. You know what I'm saying? Because you don't love yourself enough to allow yourself to feel and become the joy that is naturally who you are. It's at the core of your being, and it doesn't need to come in from outside of you. It just needs to be allowed to rise to the surface. Okay. And it lifts you up. It is contagious. Okay. And it'll freely share itself with other people. You don't have to do any work. You just have to be joyful, and then the rest of the planet begins to turn on their lights as well, because again, that energy is contagious. Okay. It's literally love from the source. You allowing that to emanate from your heart center, which I talked about the other day, is a portal to the higher realms. Okay. And so the love of God, of the higher realm, the great spirit, the Ruach HaKodesh, the Holy Spirit, however you want to say it, that is coming through your heart center and into the world. You are a conduit. Okay. So, everyone would be operating from a place of self-love if we allowed ourselves to be joyful and allow that love to manifest itself, as joy. Okay. And not feeling as if we don't have the right to be joyful. Okay. So Narcs, they're the exact opposite. Like, they use their story, because we all have a story, whatever we went through in our childhood, whatever traumas or whatever we've experienced, but they use that as an excuse for why they can't be joyful now. Like, my story from my past is the reason why I can't be joyful today. You know what I'm saying? Because they've been conditioned and learned, that when they allow themselves to embody their true soul and to experience joy, that someone might come and try to extract that energy, because maybe in their childhood, and for most of them in their childhood, that's exactly what happened, is that they were conditioned to believe that if they're happy, they express that energy of being joyful, that someone is going to come and take it from them. So they hide their joy away, and they've hid it for so long that their hearts have become hardened, and they have become cold, and they don't even know how to express that joy anymore. They haven't felt it since they began to shut down in childhood. Okay. But it's a conditioned belief, and a component, of their story that can be written out and replaced with a new story. Okay. And that's what's going to have to happen, if there's healing is going to take place. Okay. So you can write a new story when you're in allegiance with your own soul and committed to your own happiness. You know what I'm saying? I feel like somebody out there needs to get a throat chakra healing. Okay. I'm sensing that. So it's going to be someone who listens to this later. So if your throat if it has been feeling blocked, if there's something that you haven't been able to say, but you might experience this literally as a sore throat, okay, or hoarseness in your voice, or you may lose your voice. Okay, this is indicative of something that's unexpressed that you need to say. Okay, and it is going to manifest itself on a physical level. So when you hear this, if it resonates, the message is for you. Okay. But what was I talking about? the story, writing a new story, okay, a story where, you coming from a premise of being committed to your own happiness, okay, because this is your job, even the narcissists are tired of being miserable, and they secretly depend on the light bearers, okay, as much as everyone else is depending on the light bearers to find a solution to the illusion of separation from the source, okay, the polarization of what should be complementary forces, okay, everyone wants a solution to this because they should not be polarized, okay, they need to be able to rejoin, and so that the narcissists who have shut themselves off, who feel that empty void, can allow their joy, allow literally their spirits to rejoin with their bodies, to realign. And so that they can rejoin the land of the living, okay, and not walk around with this empty void within them, okay, but by not allowing that joy to fill that space, because again, in their childhood growing up, they were conditioned to believe that if I allow myself to feel joy, someone is going to come and extract that energy, and it's very painful. So they just shut down, and they don't give it, they don't receive it, they just don't feel it, okay. But this new paradigm that we're going forth on, is going to be a paradigm centered in self-love. This is why everyone who is where we are on the path, um, this is what the theme of your teachings and of your lessons, okay, the lessons that you're learning as well as the lessons that you're teaching. The overall theme is self-love, because in the higher realms, that's what it's all about. Without self-love, the self has nothing to anchor on to in the reality, okay. So when you feel yourself with self-love, you effortlessly radiate that out to everyone else, and everyone else has something to anchor into, okay. So we have to really, especially being the light bearers and like the way showers, meaning that you are some of the first to, be pioneers to actually enter in this higher realm and begin to use, these energies in this way. Okay. And so, it's like, you're the first ones to get here. And so, we're trying to figure out, how are we going to do this, okay, how are we going to, fully embody joy and make priority, our happiness a priority over everything, okay. Because what happens is, when you get here, you realize, okay, if I'm gonna make my priority, my happiness a priority over everything else, then that means I might have to, quit my job, because I don't really like my job. I might have to quit dealing with certain people, because they don't make me happy. Actually, in fact, they actually are depressing. They actually drag me down. You start to examine all of these things. So you're going to be tested, and faced with profound choices that are going to change your relationship with everything in your life, okay. But that's the fear comes in when you start asking all of these questions, okay, and that's devil energy, and it's going to surface and ask, like, how am I going to support myself if I choose what makes me happy? This is all fear of the unknown, okay. And you're going to want to see an example of someone who's actually done it, okay, because this is what we did in the old paradigm. I need an example, I need a frame of reference, you know what I'm saying, on how to do this, okay. But going forward, the divine wants you to know, light worker, that you are the quote unquote way shower, okay, meaning that for you being some of the first to come to this higher realm, because you are making a path for those who are coming behind you. A lot of you, the only reflection that most of you are going to see of this person who, it basically is making their happiness a priority, and who has made a success of it. The only reflection of that you're going to see will be your own. Okay, you are the light bearer. You're the teacher. Okay, so still wondering how you're going to do this. it's definitely not going to be done like Woodstock in the 60s. You know what I'm saying? It's not going to be the Hands Across America thing. It's going to be much quicker than that. Okay. Basically just ask yourself, if you know, if you to be in joy, do you need for the world to change for you to be in joy right now? Okay. Or do you just need a simple change of mind? Okay, a simple change in perspective, a simple perception correction. Okay, and that's going to be the premise of how this change is going to happen in an instant once we wake up and answer this question. And I'm going to leave it here, and I'm gonna come back and we're going to continue the conversation. Okay, so basically the question is, you know, can you feel that joy right now? Can you bring that joy from the higher realms through your heart center? Can you help to make that joy a reality right now, or do you need the world to change first? Okay. And I really want you guys to ponder this. I'm going to leave you guys with that question. Okay. I'm really interested to hear what comes up. Leave, you know, feel free to leave your comments in the comment section. Email me, you know what I'm saying? And we will definitely continue the conversation, okay, about how we're going to move from, you know, a space of not being able or not feeling that it is, you know, noble to allow ourselves to feel joy and to make our joy a priority above, you know, anyone else's joy. You know, we are going to definitely continue the conversation, discussing, you know, what it actually requires to switch your perspective from one of, you know, being empty to one of being full. Okay, and I'm just going to leave you guys with that. Again, thank you, Trish, for stopping by, and for everyone else who will, you know, check this out later. Okay, so until we meet again, my people, keep it classy, keep it clean, and do what you got to do to make shit happen. By the way, you were listening to. Um, in the background was the 639 hertz love, peace, and miracles. Heal your heart chakra meditation from Meditative Mind. Okay, and when we talk about hertz, we're talking about a frequency of sound waves. Okay, so 639 hertz is a frequency of healing. Healing, peace, and miracles. Okay, so until we meet again, keep it classy, keep it clean. If you feel led to hit the Cash App, okay, to initiate a change in the flow of an energy in whatever area of your life that you needed, definitely do that if you feel led. And until we meet again, keep it classy, keep it clean, do what you got to do to make shit happen. Peace.